The afternoon had been quiet, peaceful even, with the soft hush of snow falling gently on the sleepy town. Adam had driven his small sedan along the familiar winding roads, carrying his two children, Sophia and Ben, home from visiting relatives for Christmas Eve. At first, the snowfall was delicate, almost comforting, dusting the trees and the fields in soft white. Sophia pressed her nose against the cold glass of the car window, watching the world transform into a winter wonderland. Ben sat in the back seat, his small hands fiddling with his gloves, occasionally glancing at his sister, who seemed to be brimming with excitement. "It's so beautiful, Dad," Sophia whispered, her voice tinged with awe. Adam smiled, glancing at the rearview mirror to see her face lit with the soft glow of the dashboard. "It is beautiful, Sophia, but we need to stay careful. Roads get slippery when it snows like this." He turned back to the road ahead, squinting as the falling snow began to obscure the lanes. The calm had started to shift subtly, almost imperceptibly. The gentle snow was growing heavier, the wind starting to whisper with a sharper edge, rattling the car's windows. "Dad, do you think we'll make it home in time for Christmas Eve?" Sophia asked, her voice suddenly tinged with worry. Adam reached back and gave her shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "Of course we will, honey. We'll be home in time for the cookies and hot chocolate. Just a little further." He tried to make his words sound confident, though inside he felt a flicker of unease. Snow was accumulating quickly on the road, and the tires of his old sedan struggled to maintain traction. The further they drove, the more isolated the road seemed, with no other cars in sight and the familiar landmarks disappearing under a thick, white blanket. Ben, who had been unusually quiet, spoke up, his voice trembling slightly. "I don't like this, Dad. It's getting scary." Adam's heart tightened. He had expected some nervousness from the kids, but Ben's fear was more palpable than he anticipated. "I know it's cold and windy out there, buddy," he said, trying to maintain his own composure, "but I promise you we're safe. I've driven in snow before and we'll be fine. We just have to stay calm." The road twisted sharply ahead, and the sedan's tires squealed against the ice that had formed beneath the fresh snow. Adam's stomach churned as he fought to keep control. The wipers were struggling to keep the windshield clear, smearing the snow into a blur that made it difficult to see. The wind gusted suddenly, slamming against the car from the side, and Adam felt it lurch, his hands gripping the wheel tighter. "Hang on," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Sophia clutched the armrest, her knuckles white, her face a mixture of fear and anticipation. "Dad, be careful," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "I am, Sophia. I've got it under control," Adam replied, forcing a calm tone even though his heart was pounding. He shifted the car into a lower gear, trying to gain more traction, but the ice had other plans. The vehicle began sliding, first slightly, then more forcefully, until with a sudden jolt it skidded violently to the side. The sedan collided with a snowbank, the impact knocking the wind out of Adam. The children cried out in surprise, their small voices echoing against the metal frame of the car. We're stuck?" Ben whispered, his voice barely audible. Adam exhaled slowly, fighting back panic. "Yes, we're stuck, but it's okay. We'll figure this out." Sophia looked around nervously, the color drained from her face. "What do we do now, Dad? The car won't move." Adam tried to keep his voice steady, though a chill ran down his spine. "We wait for the storm to calm down," he said, even though uncertainty gnawed at him. He glanced at his phone, no signal. The snow outside had begun to pile rapidly, creating an unbroken sea of white. There were no houses nearby, no lights, nothing but the wild, swirling snow. He swallowed hard, realizing they were truly alone. The children shivered, huddling together. Adam wrapped his arms around them as best as he could. "It's going to be okay," he whispered. The words felt hollow even as he spoke them. Minutes passed like hours. The snow piled higher, and the cold began to seep into the car. Despite the heater's best efforts, the children's shivers became more pronounced. Ben tucked himself closer to his father, his teeth chattering. Sophia, ever the brave one, tried to stay alert, scanning the horizon for any sign of help. "I don't want to sit here." "Dad, we can't just wait," Sophia said finally. her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "Maybe we can walk. Maybe someone's nearby." Adam hesitated. The thought of stepping into the storm sent a shiver down his spine. But then he looked at the resolve in his daughter's eyes. She was right. Staying in the car wasn't safe. The temperature was dropping rapidly, and without warmth or proper gear, they could freeze. He nodded. "Okay, we'll have to try. But we need to bundle up first." He fumbled through the back seat, pulling coats, scarves, and gloves. The children helped each other, wrapping themselves in layers of clothing. Adam took a deep breath and opened the car door. The wind slammed against him like a living thing, biting at his face and hands. He clutched Sophia and Ben close, trying to shield them as they stepped out into the blizzard. The world outside was a wall of white. Visibility was nearly zero. The familiar road had disappeared under the snow, and all that remained was an endless swirling void. Adam's heart pounded, but he focused on keeping the children close. Every step through the deep snow was a battle. The wind threatened to push them backward, and the cold bit through even the thickest layers. "We have to keep moving," Adam said, his voice tight but determined. "Stay close to me. We'll find shelter." Ben whimpered, shivering uncontrollably. "I'm scared, Dad. I don't like this." Adam knelt, holding him close. "I know, buddy, I know. But I won't let anything happen to you. I promise. We just have to keep going together." Sophia led the way, her small figure pushing through the drifts of snow. Adam followed, his arms wrapped around Ben and occasionally holding Sophia's hand. Each step felt heavier than the last. Time seemed to stretch endlessly as the storm howled around them, the wind drowning out all other sounds. And then, through the white haze, a faint shadow appeared. Adam squinted, unsure if it was real or a trick of the storm. "Sophia, look," he said quietly. "What is it?" she asked, gripping his arm. In the distance, there was a shape dark against the white. At first, it was just a silhouette. Then it became clearer, a cabin, small and rustic, half buried under snow, its chimney sending a faint wisp of smoke into the sky. Adam's heart lifted. "There, that might be it. That might be our shelter." The family pushed forward, each step a struggle against the blizzard. The snow seemed to resist them, wrapping their feet in icy chains. But the sight of the cabin gave them hope. Finally, they reached the wooden door, and Adam rapped on it, his knuckles nearly numb from the cold. After a tense moment, the door creaked open. An elderly woman appeared, her face kind but lined with years of hardship. She wore a thick shawl over her shoulders and looked at the three strangers with concern. "Oh my," she said softly, "you poor children. Come in quickly before you freeze out there." Adam's voice trembled as he spoke. "Please, we've been stuck in the storm. We need help. We've been walking for hours. Can you help us?" The woman's eyes softened. "Of course, come in. Quickly now." They stumbled inside, the warmth of the cabin hitting them like a wave. The fire in the hearth glowed invitingly. And Mary, her name Adam learned, ushered them to chairs, covering them with thick blankets. The aroma of soup simmering on the stove filled the air. For the first time in hours, Adam felt the weight on his chest ease slightly. He looked at his children, their faces red and pale from the cold, and realized how close they had come to disaster. And yet, as he watched them begin to relax under the warmth of the fire, he understood something profound. They had found a safety far greater than any house could give. It was a warmth that came not from walls or heat, but from love, resilience, and being together. Sophia looked at him, her eyes bright despite exhaustion. "Dad, we're going to be okay?" Adam smiled, tears threatening to spill. "Yes, Sophia, we're going to be okay. As long as we have each other, we'll always be okay." The storm continued outside, relentless and unyielding, but inside the cabin, the father and his children had found a sanctuary, not of bricks and mortar, but of care, love, and the enduring strength of family. The cabin was small, humble and cozy, but to Adam and his children it felt like a palace. The fire in the hearth danced and crackled, sending flickering shadows across the wooden walls, and the warmth instantly began to seep into their frozen bones. Adam helped Ben curl into a thick blanket, holding him close until his shivering subsided. Sophia, still wrapped in her own layers, huddled beside her father, her hands cupped around a steaming mug of tea Mary had given her. The room smelled faintly of pine, wood smoke, and simmering stew, simple scents, yet somehow comforting in a way that made the storm outside seem far less menacing. Outside, the blizzard continued to roar, snow piling high against the walls of the cabin. But inside, the world had transformed into something softer, calmer. It was a sanctuary, a bubble of warmth amidst chaos. Mary, the elderly woman who had welcomed them in, moved with quiet efficiency, stirring the stew and arranging the simple furnishings with a practiced hand. "You're lucky you found me tonight," she said gently, glancing at Adam. "That storm, it comes on fast and hard. Many wouldn't make it out there." Adam sank into the chair beside the fire, finally allowing himself to release some of the tension he had been holding all day. We were trapped," he admitted, his voice low. "We didn't know if we'd make it." He stopped, swallowing hard as emotion choked him. Looking at his children, he felt a mixture of relief and lingering fear. "I just wanted to keep them safe." Sophia, sitting quietly next to him, reached out and took his hand. "Dad, we're okay now." "We're together. That's what matters." Her words, simple and earnest, carried a weight that made Adam's chest ache. Even in the middle of a storm, her maturity and understanding shone through, a reminder that children could be braver than we often gave them credit for. Ben, now calmer, leaned against his father, eyes heavy with exhaustion. "I don't want to be out in the snow anymore," he mumbled. "It was scary." Adam stroked his son's hair gently. "I know, Ben, but you were brave. You stayed close, and you trusted me. That's all that matters." "We're safe now." Mary ladled soup into bowls, the rich aroma filling the room. "Eat something warm," she encouraged. "You've been out in the cold too long. It'll help restore your strength." The family ate in silence at first, the clinking of spoons and the murmur of the fire filling the gaps. Adam observed his children carefully. Their faces, flushed from the cold and fear, were slowly returning to a healthier pink, and the tension in their shoulders began to relax. Sophia sipped her soup thoughtfully, eyes brightening as warmth spread through her body. Ben took tentative bites, glancing up occasionally at his father, his trust in him evident in the way he leaned in. Adam realized that the fire and the food, as comforting as they were not the true sources of warmth. It was the feeling of safety, the assurance that despite the blizzard outside, they were together and protected. It was the intangible bond that made him willing to endure exhaustion, pain, and fear to ensure his children survived. That was the warmth no house alone could give. As they ate, Mary spoke of her own life, of Christmases long ago. She told them stories of her family, of winters when she and her siblings would play in the snow for hours, returning home only when frost-bitten fingers forced them inside. "I've lived here a long time," she said softly, her eyes distant. "I know what it feels like to be alone in the storm, to wonder if someone will find you. That's why I keep the cabin ready, for travelers, for anyone who needs shelter." Sophia listened intently, her eyes wide. "You've been here all by yourself?" she asked, incredulous. Mary nodded, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Yes, I've learned to be comfortable with my own company. But it's nights like these that remind me of the value of connection, even with strangers. You've reminded me that helping someone is its own kind of gift." Adam's heart swelled. In the middle of a night that had begun with fear and uncertainty, they had found not just refuge, but also kindness and empathy. Mary's generosity had transformed a terrifying ordeal into a lesson about human connection and compassion. After the meal, Adam wrapped a thick blanket around himself and the children, gathering them close on a small couch. Sophia rested her head on his shoulder, and Ben leaned against her, forming a tight circle of warmth and security. Outside, the blizzard continued unabated, snow swirling against the cabin walls, but inside, the room radiated a serenity that defied the storm. "Dad?" Sophia whispered, her voice soft. "I think this is what Christmas is really about. Not presents, not the tree or decorations. It's this, being together, helping each other, surviving together." Adam looked down at her, marveling at the insight in her words. She was right. All his anxiety over timing, over reaching home, over maintaining traditions, it all seemed insignificant now. This was the essence of Christmas: love, family, and resilience. Ben stirred, still half asleep, and murmured, "I want Christmas to always be like this, even when we go home." Adam hugged him closer. "It can be, Ben, as long as we remember that it's not about the gifts or the house. It's about love, and we have plenty of that." Mary, overhearing, smiled gently. "You've all discovered something important tonight. Storms come and go, but the warmth of family stays with you. That's the real gift." Adam leaned back, letting the words sink in. The storm, terrifying as it had been, had shown them something that no cozy home or decorated tree could ever provide. It had reminded them of the strength of love and the bonds that held them together. Hours passed as the storm raged outside. They told stories, laughed quietly, and shared memories, creating new traditions in the process. Sophia and Ben were captivated by Mary's tales of Christmases, past, of snow-covered cabins and quiet nights spent by the fire. Adam joined in, contributing stories of his own childhood, of family gatherings long ago, and of small acts of kindness that had stayed with him over the years. By the time the storm began to ease in the early hours of the morning, the cabin had become more than just a shelter. It had become a place of comfort, healing, and reflection. The snow outside was still thick, but the wind had softened, and the moonlight began to glint on the undisturbed snow. Adam looked at his children, now sleeping peacefully under the thick blankets, and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. They had survived the blizzard, yes, but they had gained something far more valuable, an understanding of what truly mattered. It was not the warmth of the fire or the safety of the cabin alone, but the presence of love and trust, of a family that stood together even in the face of adversity. Mary watched them with a gentle smile, satisfied that her unexpected guests had found comfort and safety. "Sometimes," she said softly to herself more than anyone, "the greatest warmth comes not from the fire, but from the hearts of those who care for each other." Adam finally allowed himself to close his eyes, letting exhaustion take over. But even as he drifted off, a new sense of hope and understanding settled over him. He had faced the storm, and though it had tested every ounce of his strength, he had emerged with his children safe and his heart full. That night he realized they had discovered a warmth that no house, no gift, no holiday decoration could ever give them. The warmth of love, family, and resilience. As the first hints of dawn broke through the clouds, soft golden light spilling over the snow-covered landscape, Adam made a silent promise to himself. No matter what storms lay ahead in life, they would face them together. Nothing could extinguish the bond they shared, and the lessons of that night would stay with them forever. Sophia stirred, opening her eyes slowly. "Dad, it's morning," she whispered. Ben stirred beside her, blinking sleepily. Adam smiled, brushing a lock of hair from Sophia's face. "Yes, morning. And we're still together. That's all that matters." Outside, the world was quiet now, blanketed in snow, but inside, the warmth lingered. It was a warmth of love, hope, and family, the kind that no storm could ever take away.